Hi guys, thank you for watching this tutorial which we will talk about component properties. Let's understand each one of them, what it does, Boolean, instant swap and text property, and how to use it, and yeah, let's get to it. So I have here buttons, two buttons actually, very simple ones which have the same layers. One of them is with auto layout and the other one is without an auto layout. Let's see how it affects when I use a Boolean property, that I can switch a layer on and off, meaning show and don't show. So that's what it does. So let's go to the button without the auto layout, and I can double click and select this layer, go to the right panel, and here you will see on a layer, I can give a layer a property or Boolean property of switching it on and off. I can click here, and then, by the way, I can do it also from here. Sorry, let me take a step back. When I select this component, see here that I have the plus properties. So I can apply a property without clicking or selecting a specific layer. So I can do that either from here or specifically from on, let's say, on a selected layer. So the difference is that when I do it from here, let's say Boolean, okay, I call this one icon, okay, or let's call it show icon. Okay, show icon, and then I create this property. Notice that this property actually is not applied to any layer yet. If you see here, okay, not used with the component, meaning that I can double click this layer and then I can go to the properties on the layer actually. And when I click on that, I already see that property that I created, the Boolean property that I created, and I can apply it to this layer. When I apply it to this layer, let's make a duplicate an instance of this component. Let's put it here. So now you see that I have the switch show icon. I switch it off, it disappears. I switch it on, you can see it. Okay, so that's what it does very simply. The other way that I can do that, as I said before, I can delete this property. I can double click this layer, and then when I applied this property, the Boolean property to it, show chevron, right? It gives the name of the layer. Okay, that's okay. I can give it again, show icon, and then it's already applied to this layer. Okay, so when I do that, I duplicate this component so I see it again, the same thing. So you can either create it like generally just to create or a bunch of properties and then apply them to different layers, or you can double click a specific layer and just apply it and just create a property on it. Okay, so that's one. The second one that we have is an instance swap. Okay, oh sorry, I want to show by the way the same thing on the auto layout part. So that means that I'm going to apply a Boolean property to it, show icon, and when I switch it on and off, of course, because it's an auto layout, it's built with an auto layout, so the button is going to be responsive. The width of it is going to be responsive when I switch off the icon. Yeah, it's a bit funny how it shows it. Yeah, so the icon actually narrows to a button without an icon, and when I switch it on, so it goes back to be a button with an icon. So that's the difference between having them built with an auto layout and without an auto layout. Sometimes you want your buttons to be responsive, sometimes you don't. Depends what's the result that you want to achieve. Okay, so the other thing that I can do is I can double click this layer and I can apply a content property to it. Again, as I said, I can also do that directly from here and create actually a property and apply it to any layer that I want, or I can just double click this layer and create, let's say, text. Let's call it label. Okay, so the label is a button, and here when I go to this instance of it, I can double click this layer. Oh, sorry, that's the thing. I don't have to double click it. Yeah. So I can just select this instance and I can change the label from here. Let's call it next. Yeah, that's the whole thing with it. So I can call it next, and then of course it changes because the word is shorter, and it responds to the auto layout. We can do the same here. You get it. I mean, I believe it's quite understandable. Again, selecting here, let's do that the other way. I create a text property. I will call it label, and the value of it, actually, I will give it the same value. If I will give it a different value and apply it to this layer, let's call it next. Okay, I'm giving it a different value. So when I double click it, let me put a line to the middle. So when I double click it and I apply the property that I gave, the content property, to it from here, label, it will change the text to whatever I gave it. Of course, I can easily select the instance of it from here and give it a another text. Okay, like that. Oh, sorry to hit the keyboard strongly. I know it sounds in the videos quite harsh, but yeah. Okay, so this is the text property. By the way, about the text property, I do want to give another example. The text property is comfortable when you are editing or using it on short text. I mean, I guess kind of like labels, titles, which have maybe one line, 1, 2, 3 words. I guess it's gonna work fine. But if you have something like that, for example, okay, this is a component that has a title and has a paragraph. So double clicking on this one, let's give it a let's give it a property. Oh, these properties I think are here already. Yeah, that's a text property. Yeah, okay, so they do have it already. By the way, I need to just, yeah. So that means that these ones actually, yeah, I gave them the properties, I guess, already. So when I duplicate this one, now you see the difference. Okay, so see this, how it comes out here. So the title property, basically, yeah, that's quite comfortable. I can change the title from here, give it, I don't know, a few words. That's okay. But when it's a long paragraph, you will see that it's not so comfortable to edit it from here. I mean, so I guess that for, sorry. So I guess that for long text, I don't think it works that much good. I mean, I would rather to just edit the text directly from here. Okay, so that's something which this property, I guess, is kind of like less fitting in it, unless you want to switch it on and off. So that's a different story. And let's talk about the instance swap. Okay, instance swap, what it does is that you can change this component basically quite similar to variants, but the difference is that, I mean, the difference from the variants is that I can double click this one, okay, and let's give it an instance property. Let's call it an icon, or let's call it icon type, okay, which is more understandable. Icon type, and then here I can double click. Now when you change instances, okay, the same as doing it with variants, by the way, very much recommended that it will be in its own frame. I mean, change icons which has the same size if you don't want the component, if it's built, and most of cases it will be built with an auto layout, to start having those little jumps and change by the size. Okay, so I strongly recommend to work on I mean the instance swap on components that have the same size. So here I can double click on this one, okay, and yeah, and here I can just change it to other icons that I have in my my file or in my library or any one of them. Let's say that I give it the triangle right. Okay, so here I'm changing it from here. Okay, now I can change to a component, to an icon, to an icon component if it has variants or if it doesn't. If I do change to a component, okay, even this one with the variants, it's one component. If I change it to a component which has variants, then I will still have the ability to switch its variants within this icon. Let's do it right now. Select this one and yeah, and change it to this one, the arrow. Now notice the fact that I double click on this one, I still have its variants here. I mean, I can still switch them because it has 3 different variants. Okay, so this is how the instance swap works. Basically, in a nutshell, you can take any layer, okay, and change it with another component that you have in your file or in the library that you are shared with, your library or other libraries. Okay, instance swap. So that's how it works. And the text property we talked about already. So we know what's a Boolean, instance swap, and text. Let's see how it works on a checkbox component. Let's make it a component, and I will double click this one and I will apply to it a Boolean property. I will do that from where? Oh, from here. I didn't say that. Okay, show checkbox label. Yeah, okay, let's leave it like that, which is good. The name of it, yeah, it's quite a long one, but that's okay. Show checkbox label. By the way, it is built with an auto layout that when I switch this one off, it's going to narrow down to the checkbox alone. And this one, let me give it a name of a check mark, more understandable. And now I can apply also a Boolean property to the create a property and show check mark. And okay, so when I duplicate this one, when I use it anywhere in a form, in my file, or wherever I use it, so I can switch this one. Yeah, it doesn't show the whole, that's kind of weird. Okay, so I can switch the text off, I can switch this one off, and then I have actually the default starting point of the checkbox. Let's say if it is a 1 without a label. If I want to use it in another place, in a form, for example, and it does have a label, then I can just switch the label on, and then I'm gonna have the label. Okay, so this is how I do it with, let's say, this kind of a component. And of course, if I want to show a checked situation of it, then I hit this one on and it's going to be checked or unchecked. Okay, now one thing that I need to sharpen this point: you cannot apply design properties to these components. Okay, a design property, by the way, or a design, let's say another variation of this component with a different design, this is when you have to go with variants. Okay, so I'm showing you what you can do with component properties, but it's also important to say what you can't do with component properties. Okay, now another example, the last one on this tutorial, I guess. I have this content card. Okay, and let's apply some Boolean properties. So let's call it image, show image. So that's one. Show, I'm not going to edit the content of it, I just want to apply a Boolean property to it. And let's give this one show P, meaning the paragraph. Okay, and let's leave this one actually, you know what, this one we can apply actually a content. Let's call it action 1, and this one will apply a content with action 2. So I'm applying a text property to it, and now I am duplicating it, meaning that's an instance of this component. Now, in some situations, maybe I do want my content card with an image or without an image, which I can easily just switch it off, and then it narrows down. Again, it's built with an auto layout. By the way, if you're not familiar with auto layout and components in general, please see the links that you have in the description of this tutorial, which will refer you to other tutorials that will give you, of course, much more knowledge about using components and auto. Okay, so I mean, I'm taking kind of like my assumption in that you are familiar with it, but if you're not, that's okay. You can always be more knowledgeable and familiar with it by learning more about it. Okay, so I can switch the image on and off. Maybe in another situation, I will just want an image with actions. Okay, so I can do something like that, switch it on and off the paragraph, and I can edit the actions. Let's call it like, so I can easily change it from here, and let's call this one comment, so I can do that from here. So this is how I can use the properties and actually, use this content card very easily and edit it to my needs. By the way, this is kind of like an icon. It's supposed to be an icon, and just put a rectangle here. Doesn't matter, it just presents an icon. Okay, for that matter, it doesn't matter. And I guess that basically, in a nutshell, that's about it. Of course, there are many different situations. You can use it to more complex components. You can have, just to give it like a few or another example, let's say that you have a table row which has a few cells in it. So you can select, or actually you can decide which cells you are using in each time, or maybe you have different tables. So if that's, let's say, cell 1, and let's duplicate it and get a cell 2, and let's say that we have a few table cells. Okay, you know what, let's give all of them a stroke just to show the difference. I mean, like where they start and end. Yeah, let's do something like that. Okay, I'm gonna use an auto layout on them and give it a 0 distance, like the space between the elements, so we get something like that. Now I will now we'll give it a name of table row. Let's make it a component, and I'm gonna give each one of them actually a Boolean property. So you know what, let's create one. No, sorry, I was thinking for a minute. I'm gonna create a Boolean property to each one of them separately, because then it's not gonna let me switch them on and off, I mean separately, of course. So this one is going to be cell 1, or let's say show cell 1, show show cell 1. Okay, and then the same thing I'm gonna do for all of them quickly. Show cell, oh, it already does it automatically, which is pretty cute. I like that. Show cell 3, excellent, saves us the time to write it. Show cell 4, and show cell 5. Great. So now, by the way, this is let's give it an auto layout. Oh, it is auto layout already, sorry, I forgot. And let's see. Yeah, okay, great. So show cell 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's great. So now actually, when I turn it on, so look how beautiful we can do it like that. Show cell 1, cell 2, cell 2, cell 3. It depends, of course, on the content that you have on each one of them. I mean, one of them can be some kind of a checkbox, date, I don't know, the creator, some content on it, and so on and so on. Depends, of course, on the on the system that you are working on the table that you are filling. And let's say that I want this table without the mid one, so I can just, sorry, I can just switch it off. And when I switch it off, because they are defined in a fill container, all the cells, so look how the table actually adjusts, okay, to the width that I need. I mean, all of them, they just occupy the same width. By the way, I can, of course, I can give this one, for example. Okay, if I give this one a fixed width, so they will adjust. I mean, this one will stay fixed when I do switch off one of them, and they will adjust accordingly. So if I will switch off now the third one, okay, so you see that this one stays the same width, and the other ones just occupy the rest of the space that they have in the auto layout. Okay, guys, so I guess that's pretty much it. Yeah, we showed a few examples. I hope it's understandable now. And if you have any more questions, feel free to hit me uh, anytime and ask me if you need some other, or if you feel that you want me to do a tutorial about something specific, then let me know. If you like this tutorial, I would be very happy for your like, and would be more happy, even much more, if you subscribe to my channel and help this channel grow all the time. And thanks a lot. See you in the next tutorial, guys. Bye for now.